Hi, I'm Meryl Key, and this is my mystery school. This is the Heart of Tarot series where we go through the entire tarot deck from start to finish with everything you need to know about tarot. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any uploads. And if you want to support my channel, a like, share, comment goes down really well. Thank you. In this video, we'll dive into the detail of the Minor Arcana, starting off today with the suit of Wands, the element of fire. Get your cards ready, get your journal ready, and let's get into the element of fire, 1 to 10. Hi, it's Meryl from my mystery school and the Heart of Tarot. Today we're going to have a look at the Minor Arcana. The Major Arcana, these picture cards, they make up the capital letters of your story, the main actors, the main protagonists. And these minor cards, the Minor Arcana, who are organised in 4 different elements: Wands for spirit and passion, Cups for emotion, Swords for mentality and intellect, and Pentacles for earth, for security, safety, money, job. We have these 4 suits and 10 cards in each suit to flesh out the story of your tarot readings. Each suit also has 4 court cards: a king, a queen, a knight, and a page. And these represent more of the personification of a person that's entering the tarot reading or entering your interpretation. They also represent movement and messages and qualities of the personality that you'll have to draw on for success. Wands represent the element of fire, primal energy, spirituality, inspiration, movement, action, initiative, intuition, creativity, ambition, expansion. Wands are about original thought, purpose. They hit the core of your being. They're about enthusiasm and personal energy, charisma, impulsiveness. The Ace of Wands is the first fire. It's like a pilot light or that first flick of an electric flame. They are the original spark, the original passion, the illumination that suddenly hits you and lets you see which way you want to go. They represent the power and the rising energy, the upward and outward movement of energy. The aces always represent new beginnings. And you can see from this one, it's quite lusty, quite phallic. It's very full and very potent. The Ace of Wands is new passion, new ideas, new projects, news that will inspire you. It sets your heart aflutter. It inspires your imagination and gives you the enthusiasm to give something a go. It's about being willing. The Ace of Wands is a yes card. It means you can move forward. You have the right energy around this. As with all fire energy, with this card we see it isn't really contained or controlled. So this wand is going to have to be put firmly into the ground in order to anchor it and earth it. Because without that, this card could kind of be a weapon to bash you over the head. When you see the Ace of Wands in a reading, you know there's new beginnings, potentially a new love interest, is new enthusiasm and inspiration. The Two of Wands is the world in your hand card. The world is your oyster. From the Ace we know we've got one really good idea coming and a rush of energy. But this card is about union, partnership, all the things that number 2s bring in. They bring in the other. And for your idea or your project, this is the card that says there's planning, there's strategy, there's plotting, there's other things you need to bring in to get your idea moving. It's also a card of balance, because number 2 is a number of balance. So with this card, you might be balancing 2 streams of income, 2 people, 2 business opportunities, or 2 components that have to be planned and brought together. Let's have a deeper look at the Two of Wands. He seems to have it all, looking out over this beautiful landscape. And yet he looks a bit sad and pensive, a bit apprehensive. He's holding on to one of these wands. He's got one idea firmly planted, ready to move. But this second one behind him is bolted up against a wall. And even this wall here gives a bit of a barrier from where he's standing to what's going on, the vision in the distance. So there's some barrier he's facing between where he stands and the world. And in this way, I often read this card as a communication card, communication with overseas, a long-distance relationship, electronic communication, because it's wands and they're sort of to do with electricity. This card is the card of planning out your next move. But when we go deeper, this person is waiting. There's almost a sense of yearning and feeling obstructed or delayed or cut off from where you want to be. There seems to be a choice because he's holding on to this staff while this one's locked down, already home and hosed. He knows what this one is. This is the one he's interested in. So I read this card as yearning for the other, working out a way to have 2 things at once. Also working out a way to feel inspired and creative beyond what you already know. Number 3 is the number of expansion and creativity. And the 3 of Wands is the card of trade and commerce. We still have our single wand here that we saw in the Ace, and it's expanded beyond. It's a card of waiting for your ship to come in, of having sent out the message and seeing what comes back. It's also a card of communicating with overseas, with distance. It's a card that needs something from another place to find that expansion and fulfillment. The 3 of Wands comes so beautifully naturally after the 2. Here he is yearning, looking out, making that distant connection. And here we are on the other side, watching the ships come in. There's the landscape, the mountains in the back. He's also holding on to that same one staff, but it's grown. He now has 2 planted in the ground, and there's no barrier or wall. This card can bring an unexpected opportunity where you want to reach a wider field, join other networks. This card is around business relationships and arrangements and creative endeavours and projects where you're able to be in a position to see what's coming in. This card is also a chance to travel, as I would say the 2 of Wands is as well. It's a chance to work with others, to work in a team, and I'd also be looking at electronic communication with this one. The 4 of Wands is a beautiful card. It's a step through card, the card of stepping through. 4 is a very stable number, but fire is not a very stable element. So with this card, we've got the stability and the welcoming and the celebration, the passion and the spiritual connection that lets you step through a threshold. Let's have a deeper look at the 4 of Wands. It's like the party is still going on and you've walked through. But always with this card, I feel this is a welcome as much as it's a farewell. So I always feel with this card, you've got the opportunity to cross through. It's not like the 6 of Wands, where the whole street is out for the celebration. This one, it's quite small and people are still doing what they're doing. This card to me brings a place of belonging, knowing you can come and go as you need and you'll be welcomed and given celebration even if you leave. It can also mean a new house, a welcome of any place where you're going to feel you belong, a relationship becoming more serious, an announcement. There's a happy event with this. 5 is a number of conflict and change. And we can see here our wands have started to get a bit confused. This card is called the communication breakdown card. It's also called stupid tent because you can see these people are trying to connect and put something up, but they're all at odds. They're all got their ideas going in different directions and their opinions aren't really coming together. Some tarot readers call this the Kardashian card. Like the Kardashian family, everyone's in with an opinion. When this card comes up, the 5 of Wands, there may be bickering, arguing, being at cross purposes, sometimes delays and communication breakdown. You can see our fire is starting to get a bit messy. Our single idea is starting to get a bit impounded and a bit entrapped. This card is about learning to deal with difference, learning how to talk it through and how to iron out the lumps. This is a contest and they're not especially serious. You know, they're kind of playing, jabbing away, working how things might come together. They're learning to fight for it, learning how to handle division. They're also working off excess energy. And in that way, this card can sometimes bring out that real pettiness and bickering, just obstructive behaviour and communication. These people are quite young and there's an immaturity with this. If we connect this number 5 to the Major Arcana, it links to the Hierophant and Temperance, 14 breaking down to a 5. So these are the higher ways. These are the more ideal ways to resolve conflict. Take the high ground and learn to compromise. The 6 of Wands is the card of reward and victory. It's a triumphant return. We can see all the wands now are upright in celebration of this person's return. The white horse guiding them in. So with this card, sometimes you have a vehicle that delivers this reward and recognition. It's a card of promotion, of public recognition, of getting a tap on the shoulder and getting called to another place. It's a good news card. It's a card of celebrity, of having your moment in the sun. It's a yes card. And it would seem with this card that after the confusion of the 5, someone has emerged a winner. This card is also called an announcement for a new king. This card can bring good news. And if the crown is being handed over, it's a shift in the leadership. When I see this card, I always think of David Bowie's song, We Could Be Heroes. We could be heroes just for one day. The white horse has got this cheeky little grin and it's looking straight at us while the rider is looking over in the other direction. I think this horse knows that it might just be 15 minutes of fame for this person. They know something isn't lasting, that this glory can't last forever. However, right now for this card, you are the one getting the accolades. 7 is a number of struggle. And the 7 of Wands shows someone having to get to higher ground and fight off these unseen enemies. This is a card of using your strength and having to use courage to stand tall and hold your ground. It's a card that's a bit defensive, but it's a card that says you have the ability to fight what is unseen and hold your space. It's about defending your beliefs and your spiritual purpose, having to fight for it, a test or a challenge to your belief system. If we have a closer look at this card, we can see although he's on higher ground, he's forgotten to put his sock on. So there's like a quick call to action with this. This person isn't fully prepared or fully ready. They've been called suddenly, unexpectedly. And here they have to get to higher ground, literally and figuratively. This card asks you to choose the high road, to position yourself to get the best advantage. Be strategic. This can also mean a fiery exchange because the wands are starting to increase. And it's always occurred to me that the unseen enemy is a bit like cyberbullying or trolling, gossip, and you have to show valor, the heart of the warrior. If we link it back to the Five of Wands here in a group, now you have to fight alone. You have to test this for real. According to this card, you've learned some lesson from this confusion and petty bickering. The Eight of Wands is a card of movement. It's the everything's in the air card. Now, for some people, this can be very distressing to see that everything's in the air and all this movement is happening without anything actually touching the ground. And for others, this card is a card of freedom, of letting loose, of lots of movement, lots of things on the job, but they're all lined up, ready to land home. The Eight of Wands is a card of lots of news coming. If you're in a good space, you'll use this well. If you're feeling overwhelmed or under-resourced, this card becomes a real test for you, where you can easily be bombarded. The Wands are also about communication. So in some ways this card is social media, it's broadcast, it's where there's a flood of information. The Eight of Wands has everything lined up and ready to go. In fact, it's already gone. It's already left the station. There's nothing more you can do now, but hope that your preparation was sufficient for these to land where you want them to land. It's flying by the seat of your pants, pulling in multiple strands and getting everything to work together. It can represent the height of ambition, and it links to that ace energy. With new choices, new possibilities, everything's in motion. There is no turning back. I love the feeling of space and freedom with this card, that most of the card is taken up with the sky. This river running through shows us that the journey is continuing and the water is calm and gives us direction. And if we look at that river here, it's kind of a muddy little blob puddle here. And here it's just starting to form. By the time we get to this one, it's a clear stream. I really like this card. The Nine of Wands is the battle-weary card. This is the card where all your defenses are there and you're just waiting for the next battle, you're waiting for the next hit. When you have too much fire going on, you start to burn out. There's too much to hold and you start to feel attacked. Too much fire is a bushfire. It's not a cooking fire that nurtures you. In the Nine of Wands, the card of accomplishment and near completion. But with this, we've seen that our figure here is feeling hard done by all the fire that's been going on, and is now feeling very worn out. It's a card that's a bit defensive and to me a bit paranoid. The Nine of Wands is that feeling of oppression, under threat. You've erected some sort of fence and boundary around you, and you're just here waiting for the next slog, the next round of fighting. Sometimes this card can mean divorce or a relationship breakdown, or when you're on the very edge of a burnout, when you've lost purpose and you don't know why you're fighting anymore, and it's miserable going it alone. One thing to think about this card, because it can't receive, if it comes up for you, are you in a position where you're so locked down and over cautious that you're not able to receive help? Are you pushing people away? Are you too rigid in your opinions and your attitudes? Because our previous card shows so much freedom and exuberance. And that means you might have to go back to the Eight of Wands and work out if the communication was clear. What were your expectations? Had you taken on too much? For those who are very sensitive and their nervous system is very sensitive, This card might be about clearing out any people who drain your energy. In that case, it's a healthy boundary. The Ten of Wands is the culmination of the Wand series. And here you can see there's an awful burden that happens when you've got too much stimulation, too much fire and passion. This is the card that's the burnout card, the card of struggle. This person is unable to see where they're going, and they're holding up all these things in a very difficult way. When you have too much stimulation, it's hard to see the wood from the trees. 10 is that number of completion, and we see with the fire element that the further we've gone along, the more difficult the struggle is. This person is feeling weighed down, they're wandering blindly, and their passion has been dispersed. Now, we know with the Ten of Wands, this person can't see where they're going, but they are doggedly determined to walk forward. Even where they're walking between, presumably, this destination, they have to cross these two little lines. And you might interpret these two little lines down here as, a physical boundary and an etheric boundary. This card is about time management and bad boundaries, where you can't say no, where you've taken on too much pressure. There's also a kind of a threat with this, because what is his purpose? What is he going to be doing with all of these wands? If you like, when you get the Ten of Wands, and it is a culmination and ending, you could draw another card on top of it and see what part do you have to go back to retrace so you're not overcome with this burden. This card means that there's hard work, there's effort, there's massive undertakings, and you may have to make sacrifice in order to move forward or to have success. Let's just go over some of those key words with each card. The Ace of Wands, new fire, new beginnings. Two of Wands, the world in your hand card. Three of Wands, trade and commerce. Four of Wands, stepping through. Five of Wands, communication breakdown. Six of Wands, reward and recognition. Seven of Wands, get to higher ground. Eight of Wands, it's all in the air. Nine of Wands, battle weary. And the 10, burnout, pressure and burden. You can see with the Ace of Wands through to the 10 that the pressure becomes more burdensome as the wands move along. Notice how we also move from the grey sky to the yellow of mentality when things are very clear, and then we start going into the blue where the emotions are held. We can see that stress increasing as we move through, up to the 10 when it's just too much to hold. The timing for wands, because fire is very fast, is usually days or weeks. The timing is also around fire signs. So anytime that the sun is in Leo, Sagittarius or Aries, that's also a time when these are relevant. The landscape of wands is hot, dry, and high up from a lofty position. If you like, you can try the life path spread. It's one that works with your purpose and it helps you see a bigger picture. The positions of the cards are number 1, the past, number 2, the present, third card is the near future, fourth card is the lesson you've recently learned, fifth card, the lesson you're about to learn, the sixth card, what's not working for you, and the seventh card, what is working for you. And if you like, you could draw an optional 8th card, just asking for guidance. We're going to continue on with the Minor Arcana in the next video, where we look at the element of cups, relationships, love, union and connection. I'm Meryl Key from My Mystery School and the Heart of Tarot.